Hi, I'm Hannah. If you don't know me, if you haven't practiced with me, or you've just come across this video, I run my own online studio and I have my YouTube channel as well, hence why you're seeing this. There's a 7-day free trial on my membership, so please don't hesitate to sign up because I would love to have you on board. My members get 3 new classes every week along with meditation, relaxation techniques, pose guides and a lot of other things as well with it, as well as an exclusive Facebook members only group, so we have a lot of chit chat in there. So yeah, sign up for the free 7-day trial. So today's vlog is all about my journey to accepting my different mental health than just a normal person, I suppose. And maybe some things I say today you will resonate with. You might not resonate with anything in particular, but it might allow you to just kind of take a quick look back at yourself and just think, okay, is there anything that I need to work on? I haven't scripted or prepared anything that I'm going to say because I don't know if you can with a subject like this, and I kind of want it to just go with the flow, a bit of a Dear Diary entry, I suppose. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll try not to ramble on too much. So I think I'm going to start with the crescendo, I suppose, because that is where my journey began, I think. So the crescendo happened a year and a half ago maybe, and it was when I was living in Australia. Yes, spoiler alert, I lived in Australia. I think I mention it probably once a day. I was living with my partner at the time. We were in a shared apartment together, just us two, which is something that I always wanted, and that's what I thought that, yeah, that's where our relationship was going. However, as soon as we moved in together, it just kind of went downhill, and I assumed that it was a relationship, but I think it was actually more to do with me. Actually, I know that it was more to do with me, my mental health, having no understanding of what my mental health state was, having no understanding of how to communicate how I was feeling other than I just feel sad. And if you tell somebody you feel sad, their response is, well, it's not going to happen, or just cheer up, just be positive. And for somebody that is maybe not just sad, that is super unhelpful. But it is of no fault of anybody else's that they're going to tell you that, because if they don't know and you don't know, I mean, why would they not say that to you, right? Like, they're not going to think that it's not a positive or impactful thing to say. So yeah, I just felt super sad all of the time. Nothing was helping me break through this kind of feeling, and I was almost kind of just like, you know when people say there's functioning alcoholics? I felt like I was just a functioning skeleton, almost. So we got to the point in the relationship where it was just so awful. There was arguments all the time, just a lot of sadness. And I then started to not be able to sleep. Couldn't sleep at all. I then got addicted to sleeping tablets, because if you can't sleep, you just want to sleep, right? So I was just taking these sleeping tablets. So I'd wake up in the morning completely out of it, completely drowsy, then be going straight to work. This kind of like pattern would just go on, so I'd just be exhausted all the time. And then very, very old habits started to creep back in. So I started to self-harm, but in a grown-up way. I need to stop doing this, but in a grown-up way, which sounds crazy, like instead of cutting, I would like scratch the inside of my arm so much that I would get like blood coming from the inside of my arm, or I'd scratch like the back of my arm or something, so that nobody else would know but other than my partner, and he wouldn't see that and be like, oh, that's something that you've done to yourself. So that happened, and at this point, I mean, and nothing made sense really, so this didn't not make sense. And I remember going to the doctor one day, for something completely unrelated. I was getting my birth control changed. So I was getting my implant put in. And I can remember, it wasn't pain because you get numbed, but that feeling of adrenaline and pseudo pain almost was the only time that I really felt alive. And I was a bit like, oh shit, what rabbit hole am I kind of going down? Because I really felt kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. I just felt back in touch with myself because I could feel something, which is crazy. But I would imagine that other people can relate. And then on top of that, I started to make myself sick, which is something I haven't ever done. I've had, I would say probably an eating disorder, very mild, since I was a teenager. And do you know what? I think it's very, very common. And it's kind of just been like bubbling under the surface, kind of comes out when I'm feeling really insecure, I'm nervous, I'm afraid, I really need somebody to latch on to control. But I never made myself sick. Really and truly, it was just because I never thought that I could. Anyway, I discovered that I could. So then I was starting to go through these cycles of just binge eating because I felt like shit, because I was tired, I needed the sugar, and then I would make myself sick. I mean, just a whole, like, when I look back at those, I think we were living together in that apartment oh gosh, it can't have been long, maybe 6 months, maybe less. Like, just looking back at that person, it was just a complete shell of myself. Yeah, I just feel really, really, I think I'm gonna cry. No, I'm not. I feel really sorry and sad for that person, whoever that person was, because I can't quite recognize that person. Maybe this is like a self-therapy session. So then I was then doing everything in my power to self-sabotage this relationship. I was being horrible. Something had happened with his grandma and I was so unsympathetic. But I just didn't know how to communicate. I had absolutely no idea how to communicate. But that was very much an eye-opener. Thank God. Even though that was just so hideous. This is what I had a therapist before, and she said to me, she's like, you can just cry, you don't have to laugh it off. So I just felt so awful, and I was just like, okay, what do I need to do? To be honest, at this point I was thinking that I had a borderline personality disorder, everything else. I felt crazy. I felt absolutely fucking crazy. That is the only way I can describe it. Like, I could not act normally. So then I decided, okay, right, this is it. I'm going to go and get some therapy. And the guise of getting therapy was because about 4 or 5 years ago, my brother suddenly died, and I never got therapy to discuss that. So absolutely, that is a humongous thing, but I still, it sounds really awful, but I kind of felt like my shit was worse. Like, I felt like this stuff going on inside me, inside my brain, was more abnormal than trying to deal with the grief, if that makes any sense. So, but I had no idea, again, to communicate how I felt in my brain with this personality disorder that I diagnosed myself with. So I went to the therapist with this guise of, my brother died, I never talked about it, and I want to start talking about it. And that was supported by my partner at the time as well. But it didn't change anything. Like, I was speaking about all of these things, but it didn't change how I felt inside. It didn't change these mood swings, these just absolute all engulfing feeling of sadness, just heaviness, just nothing is worth anything. It'd be like we would have a day planned together, or I would say like, oh hey, can you take the day off, I'd love to do something with you. The day would come and I would just be in the worst mood ever, and then obviously the cycle goes again, like he would be annoyed, blah blah blah. I then tried some EFT. If you haven't heard of EFT, it is emotional freedom technique. It's tapping. So like you tap different parts of your body. It's like with the meridian lines and acupuncture kind of pressure points in Chinese medicine. And even though that was kind of useful, it still just wasn't getting to the root of the problem. It still wasn't getting to the why do I feel so fucking miserable. And I didn't really want to admit it, but I kind of in the back of my mind just was like, I just need a pill. I just need a happy pill. That's all I need. There's something incorrect in here and I need something that is going to level me out. But when you say that to people, they're like, no, you don't. You just need to do some exercise. You just need to do meditation. You just need to go to therapy. You haven't talked to your friends enough. You haven't talked to your family enough. And it's like, you don't understand. My brain does not feel right. You just don't understand. And if you are kind of nodding along, then you're probably the only people that get it. Like my brain just did not feel the same as other people's. So that is the only way I can describe it. Like my reactions to things, how hurt I would be about some things that my partner would do, friends would do, that is probably quite minuscule. To me, it would just be the worst thing in the world. So none of that really helped. We were leaving Australia, my partner and I, because our visas were up, and we decided to go on a break. I mean, I did not want to go on a break at all, because at this point I was super attached. I was not a person, was I? I told you I was just a shell, clinging on to anything, clinging on to this life raft of, you're my boyfriend, you love me, and we've spoken about getting married, having kids, having a business together, like all of this stuff like was just like, okay, I'm latching onto. And in a good way, right? Like you should kind of, if you talk about those things, then you can be excited and expect those things to happen. This is, oh gosh, it's turning into like a sob story. But so the last time I then ended up seeing him was in the airport in Doha. Yeah, it was in Doha because he doesn't live in the UK. And then we just parted ways. And I never knew that I wasn't ever going to see him again. And yeah, that's really, really, really hard. So that's a bit of a spoiler, that we both got back to our countries. We were on this break that I was a complete and utter emotional wreck. I had no idea how to be on a break, for starters. I didn't really want to be on a break. I knew that we needed to have time apart, but I felt like I was dying, to be quite honest. Like, I just had no idea, and it goes back to that communication thing. I had no idea how to communicate to myself even what these feelings and emotions were going on inside. I didn't really have any understanding of like my attachment style, why my attachment style was like that, how to talk about those feelings. Yeah, it was, gosh, it was hard. I mean, anybody that goes through a breakup is hard, isn't it? But especially when that person is carrying you. And he was so amazing. I'd started to have panic attacks almost. Yeah, I'd started to have panic attacks in Australia. And there was one time and he had to like put me in the shower. Just like, I felt like I was a toddler or something, having some sort of like temper tantrum, or like, you know, when you just see kids and they've got no idea how to express their emotions or these feelings coming up, or sadness or anger. And that's what I just felt like. I was just walking around the flat just crying, and he was walking away from me because he just didn't know what to do, and I was just crying hysterically. And all I just wanted a big hug. but obviously I didn't know how to communicate that. And yeah, he just kind of like bundled me up and put me in the shower and just showered me, which actually did really help. Oh my gosh. So then, yes, I mean, you already know anyway, if you follow my Instagram and stuff, but we're not together now. So the break continued to be a break and we broke up. And then under another guise, I then decided to see a therapist, telling my family that I was having life coach sessions, because in my family we don't talk about emotions. So saying that I needed a therapist is almost like committing yourself to an insane asylum or something. So I'd started to see this therapist again under this guise of I've just had this really awful breakup. I'm just like ruminating constantly. I still love him with all my heart. If I just is he going to come back to me at some point? And this therapy was actually super, super helpful, because I was trying to fix myself so that I could get back with this guy. So even though it's not the great place to start, it actually was so helpful, because it allowed me to do something I needed, but I wouldn't have done for myself, if that makes sense. So I was reading books, I was really engaging with this therapy, I was journaling, and suddenly I started to make a huge amount of progress. And I started to understand that a lot of my ways that I reacted were out of defense, out of fear, which is a huge, huge thing. Like if you get annoyed at somebody, if I can't think now, but yeah, it's like this triangle, which I'll put what book it is that I read at the bottom. Oh, it's called It's Not Always Depression. I'll put a link to it at the bottom, but it helped me so much, because I'm quite a tangible, visual person, so I really needed something to like hold on to and to really help me understand what my thought processes were. So I'd read that book, I'd read The Courage to Be Disliked, which is from Adler's theories, which again was really, really helpful, because it was just, I was just absorbing all of this new information. And I then kind of got to the point with therapy with this lady that I was like, I don't really know what to say to you anymore, like other than, yeah, I'm just a bit sad, or yeah, I've had a great day today, or I've had a great week. And then I can remember we were kind of wrapping up our final session. And I said to her, I was like, I do have one final thing to ask you, and I know I probably should have asked you before, because this is a humongous topic, but is it true that people do actually love themselves? Like, I genuinely think it is a big farce, and it's like a Hollywood movie, and people just say it to make them feel better, or to make other people feel worse about themselves. And she was like, no, Hannah, people do actually love themselves. And I was like, I just don't believe you. I've never felt it, and I just don't believe you at all. I don't understand how that can be. And I didn't quite realise how big that was. And it didn't sink in then, but I did start to kind of like think about it afterwards, and start to really be like, okay, why don't I love myself? Or have I ever loved myself? Do my friends love themselves? What does not loving myself, how does it impact everything else? I mean, if you've done any kind of reading, or you're just kind of like a normal person, then you will probably understand that not loving yourself means that you will attach to people. You will be absolutely distraught if somebody leaves you, because they've kind of proven to you that, I mean, if you don't love yourself, I'm not going to love you. But also it's like they've taken away your existence almost. So there's so many other things other than just saying, oh, I love myself, that I started to understand a lot more. And then after that question, I was like, but what about families? Like, I don't know if my family love me or if I love my family. And she was like, I don't think she really understood how to answer that question, because she was like, what do you mean? Like, why are you just telling me this now? But genuinely, I was like, what is a loving family like? And I think because I know now, and I love my family so much, and I know that they love me, but I couldn't have expressed that at the time. And I think it all comes down to because I didn't love myself, therefore I had no idea what love was. And also I was probably projecting something very different, and therefore interpreting things coming to me very differently as well. So I think probably this whole kind of journey of, I don't know, just absolute chaos and heart-shattering experiences, it's probably like a year in total. And yeah, I wouldn't have been able to start my own business when I was feeling like that, because who does that when, like, they don't give a shit about themselves? Nobody, right? And I don't, okay, actually I'm missing out an important bit of information. So had this therapy, about 6 months on, I still just wasn't feeling quite right, but I was really trying to work on myself through other ways, through journaling, connecting with my friends more, working on that triangle, the kind of figuring out, okay, why am I reacting like this? Is it aggression? Is it my true feelings? Blah, 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 which really, really helped. Like, I would really recommend everybody to read that book. And then I was planning to leave the UK, because I was only planning to be in the UK for 3 months after Australia, visiting family and friends, visiting my ex-boyfriend's family and friends, and then moving to New Zealand, which didn't happen. Okay, fine. And then I got stuck then for a whole year with COVID, with my parents, which was the most incredible experience in the end, because I mean, you learn everything, right? From when you're putting that experience back with your parents, you kind of get to put all of those theories you pulled from books and therapists, everything, into practice. And you can start to watch those family dynamics as well and be like, that's why I react like that. Or I didn't realize that so-and-so reacted from such a hurt place, and that's why they're acting so aggressively and things like that. It is just like, yeah, therapist's goldmine. And so then in the UK, we suddenly had this next bout of lockdown. All flights and holidays was cancelled. I was just planning to finally leave the UK and start on my life again. So I was going to be going to South America. And that, to me, as soon as I heard the news, it was just like a stab through the heart. I was just like, I'm stuck. I've done all of this work on myself. I think I was already starting to feel a little bit down, because I was like, I feel like I need to just get away, and if I don't get away, then I failed almost. And I was still very much in like, oh, my ex-boyfriend's doing all these amazing things. I mean, I don't know, and why should I care, right? But I just felt like I needed to do something better and bigger to prove to everyone, to prove to myself that I was healed, and yeah, I was living my best life. So then we got this next round of lockdown in the UK, and that absolutely crushed me. I couldn't get out of bed for maybe a week. I could not get out of bed. I couldn't eat. I was crying all the time. Yeah, and I just felt like such a burden on my family. Like I can just remember being like, I'm so sorry that I'm like this. I'm so sorry that I'm doing this to you. I'm so sorry that I'm not happy, and that I'm living in your house and you're cooking me dinner, and yeah, I'm just crying all the time, or I'm not getting out of bed, and it's like I don't appreciate you and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just, it was so hard. And then I messaged my friends, which I don't think I'd really discussed anything to my friends about any of this. And I just messaged them like, that is it, I'm finally hit rock bottom. I can't remember what I messaged, but something along those lines, like, and I can just remember messaging them, just like crying my eyes out, like, it's happened, like I finally just hit this point of no return. Like I just did not know if I was going to be coming back up or if that was it. I was just down, and to the point like scary thoughts like, what's the point of me being here? Yeah, just like being a burden on everybody, just sad all the time. And not sad, just like so sad. And then I was like, do you know what? The one thing I haven't tried and the one thing that I really think I need is some antidepressants. I was like, that is it. Let's bring in the big guns. And holy hell, they were the best thing that's ever happened. Seriously. Incredible. Don't let the stigma of antidepressants stop you from trying them if you think you need them. Like, yeah. If you asked me this a year ago or 6 months ago before I started taking them, I'd have said never, never, ever. And it took me a very long time to start telling people that I was on them as well, because I was just, I felt like I'd failed, right? Like I'd failed all this learning that I'd got through books, and I failed as a person because I had to be on these antidepressants. But the best thing that's ever happened, it gives you respite, is what I would say. It allows you to step back and to sleep. Even though actually, okay, when I first started taking them, I probably didn't sleep for about 3 weeks because they really do mess with your sleep cycle. But they just allow you, I can't remember what my doctor said. I can't remember what she said, but she said it so brilliantly. It's like they just allow you to deal with stuff. They allow you to see things clearer and just deal with stuff rather than just this heaviness on you all the time. And this like the feeling that I always used to say actually when I was with my boyfriend and when I was feeling like this, I feel like I'm drowning and I've got no life jacket, or like I'm in quicksand. Like I'm literally got like a mouthpiece out, do you know what I mean? Like, and that is my only source of life. That's the only thing that's keeping me above ground, and everything else is dragging me down, and I don't know how long I can keep going on for. So that they are your life raft. They're your life jacket. They allow you to then kick to land. They allow you to scream for help, like all of those things that you just can't do and you don't want to do and you've got no motivation to do. That was just the biggest change. And not everybody needs them, but for me it was incredible. I was really worried that I was going to get addicted to them, or if I wanted to get pregnant, what would happen, and all of this stuff. But you're the most important thing in your life, and if you're not looking after yourself, nothing else matters. And then really from then on, everything slotted into place. It's like they're a miracle cure. I was still like very much like, I don't really want to be on something that's like synthetic, the big farmers, blah blah blah. So always in the back of my mind I was thinking like, this is only going to be a short-term thing. So I was on a very, very small dose for about 3-4 months, and then just recently I've just halved my dose to like the minimum that you can take. And I did feel a huge whack all of a sudden. Like a few days I'd been taking like a reduced amount, and I was like, oh my god, I feel fine. Like all of this work I've done on myself. I'm in Guatemala living my best life, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden I was like, everybody hates me. I could cry. If anybody even looks at me wrong, I will cry. And then I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, you've reduced those antidepressants. So I just needed to kind of like, I was actually quite good. I did kind of communicate with the people around me what was going on, which helped me understand as well. Like, you know, like when you just say things out loud. But it didn't last for that long, and especially once I kind of understood like, okay, this isn't going to last forever, because that is the worst feeling when you just think that nothing's ever going to get any better. So that brings us up to now. Oh my gosh, I have been talking for so long. So now I'm on the minimum dose. Who knows if I'll come off of them, if I won't. I'm looking into kind of more plant-based medicines, so maybe microdosing, maybe just like lion's mane and turkey's tail, which is different forms of mushrooms but not psychedelics. Or maybe just nothing, maybe just every now and then I just need a bit of a pick-me-up, and that is enough. But I am so much more in tune with myself now, and I know people say this all the time and it is such a cliche. Would I go through it all again to be where I am now? Oh my gosh, it still feels quite raw, but yes. Why not? Yeah, I would, because I feel so fucking amazing. Are you allowed to swear on YouTube? Yeah, I just feel so amazing. And when I don't feel amazing, it's not the end of the world. It's just, okay, I just don't feel amazing today. So what? I'll sit down and watch some Netflix and we'll restart tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, it feels mammoth, but I think probably my experience to other people's isn't so mammoth. So yeah, I always felt different. I always felt my reactions were different to other people's. I always felt like my reactions were more extreme. I always felt more hurt than other people about things, when it wasn't a relative kind of reaction to whatever had happened. And I always just felt like I was acting out of a place of defense as well. Like I was always on the back foot, like always having to back myself up or prove myself. So I hope that, I don't really know to be honest, this has just been for me. I was thinking about doing this video to talk about it for me, and it has proven to be ridiculously cathartic. So again, like I say with all of these videos, if you want to chat about it, I am in no way an expert. So no professional questions, please. But if you just want to talk to somebody about stuff, I am so all ears. Drop me a private message on Instagram or email me. My email's on my website. And we can just have a bit of a chat. Like, why not? How amazing is it to get this kind of discussion out there, and so that it's not all kind of hush hush, which I don't think it is so much anymore. And do you know what I'm going to get the figures wrong, but I'll try to remember them. You know how the older generation always say, like, oh, you lot have got so many more problems, all of you are depressed, you've got mental problems. So in the 1950s, I'm pretty sure it was, there was 500,000 people in mental institutions in America. 500,000. And then as soon as they brought in the not psychedelic, but antidepressants and different drugs to help with like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, all of those things, it got suddenly reduced down to 100,000. I'm pretty sure that is the right figures. It comes from a book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it's all about trauma. It's like kind of going around at the moment. It's like a bit of like the book of the time. And so no, actually, you lot were just as messed up as us. It's just that nobody talked about it because you're all in insane asylums, and nobody spoke about it. But it's still the same as it was then and it is now. But we talk about it. We have YouTube where people like me can make a 40-minute long video just chatting about my life. So yeah, people weren't going to write about that in a telegram. So there's no moral of the story really, other than if you don't love yourself, figure out why not, because it really is. It's not made up, and it really is a real thing. Figure out where your reactions are coming from. Read that book. It's not always depression, because that was a huge game changer for me. And yeah, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Sorry that you had to see my ugly crying face, but I mean, that's me, hey. Yeah, wow, what a mammoth session. Thank you so much. I'm not going to ask you to sign up or anything because you have just been incredible just listening to all of this for me. So yeah, have a lovely day. Thank you.